and welcome to the IIBA podcast series. My name is Amy Riddell from Project Times BA Times, and your host for today. Our topic, Data Business Analytics, and our guest today is Laura Paton. Laura is a business analysis industry thought leader with over 30 years of in-depth project management and business analysis experience across numerous industries. She is passionate about helping organizations and individuals mature and improve their BA skills and practices. Some of Laura's industry contributions include being the IIBA Project Manager Consultant 2018 to present and the IIBA Head of New Product Development from 2011 to 2014. She's the chair and author for A Guide to Business Analysis, the BABOK version 3, a Project Manager BABOK, or of the Project Manager BABOK Guide version 2, the previous IIBA RTP Chapter VP of Education and Professional Development, chair and author for the PMI's Guide to Business Analysis, including the Standard for Business Analysis, and the chair and author for the PMI's Business Analysis for Practitioners, a Practice Guide. Welcome, Laura.
Hi, Amy.
Thank you so much for being with us today. So the purpose of today's podcast is to take a deeper dive on the current state of data analytics and to share how new IIBA products will help BA professionals capture the opportunities provided by business data analytics. In a previous podcast, we had explored the importance of business data analytics, and today we're going to continue to examine the same topic that is truly on the top of the mind for business analysis professionals. So let's get to it. Laura, how would you describe business data analytics, and what role does it play in helping to support enhanced decision-making and achieving better business outcomes?
Okay, so first let me mention that some of the terms that we're using. So most people are hearing the phrase business analytics a lot, and they're also hearing the phrase data analytics. But IBA is using the term business data analytics because they're wanting to really place the emphasis on the importance of the business aspect of the work as well as the data analytics or math science portion of it. So keep that in mind as we're going through the questions, right? So I wanted to get the terminology straight first. So because we're business analysts and the role that we'll be doing is kind of in the middle between, the business and the analytics piece, I think it's important to keep in mind of why we're using business data analytics. So now that you asked about the role and the role analytics is playing, it's super important because what we're seeing today is analytics is just a tool that we're able to leverage for our decision makers to make better decisions because they're being able to make it based on evidence and not just gut feel or assumption. So plain and simple, we're using analytics to mine through our data, to learn from what we can glean from customer information that's coming into our organizations, and we call it evidence-based decision-making, basically. So instead of just making a business decision based on a personal preference or gut feel or, just trying to process information and work with all these assumptions, we're using data and the analysis of it and what we're learning from it, so like the behaviors, the patterns, the trends, to guide decision-making. So that's why it's important. That's why it's helping us get better business outcomes because it's helping us reduce risk by learning from what we're gleaning from data and helping us guide our decision makers making to be better decision makers.
Okay, thank you. Across the global business community, we are seeing an increased focus on business data analytics. What can we attribute the increased focus to? And secondly, what trends are you seeing in the area of business data analytics?
Okay, great. So two parts. So I'll tackle the increased focus. So I think there's a couple of reasons for the increased focus on analytics. First of all, there's been just an explosion of technologies that are really evolving the space. We're able now to process large sets of data that organizations are collecting and processing and mining and storing in ways we didn't have the technology to be able to do that in the past. So we just are getting the ability to work with data that our older technologies didn't even allow. So the technology and the price of the technology has come down. We also see much better tools that are enabling organizations to analyze and report and visualize the data for the business partners. So that's also, helping increase the focus on it. And of course, I'm thinking a lot of people that are on the podcast today or that will be listening to it in the future know that overall we've just had a complete digital explosion of, we hear that term all the time, digital or digital transformation. And basically, to me, it's just the array of apps that are out there. We have an app for everything, and so much content is digitized. So just this ability to use technology to automate everything that we're able to do, our interfaces with our customer, our support that we provide our customers, all of that is just providing all of this data through mobile, through web, through social media. And this explosion of data has, provided this increased focus for organizations to have access to this asset that they didn't have before. So that's where I attribute, is just the technology and the push to everything being digital. That's what I think is the increased focus. But then you also, you asked about trends, right? And I think there's quite a few trends, and I think the trends are really, really important to understand, to know where we are today. So if you want me to tackle that, there's like probably 3 or 4 that pop into my head. I don't want to be too long-winded, but I mean, to me, if to understand the trends, I'd say, look at the tool space. The tools are becoming more powerful, as I said, but they're also becoming more business, savvy or easier to use. And what I'm seeing are tools where the business stakeholders can actually look at the results of the data and do what-if scenarios and kind of mine through stuff and make some conclusions. So we don't have to have a big IT project around everything, right? So the tool market's really a big trend and where those tools are going. Another trend is, and this is pretty exciting for BAs, is it's a really, really hot job market. So organizations are struggling to find talented people that can work on analytics projects. So I see huge trends around colleges and universities creating programs to help train the next generation of data scientists. And of course, IIBA is out there producing products and services to help organizations and individuals, bring that skill set up so that organizations have the talent they need. There's trends in technology with AI and machine learning. So we're moving away from just passive reports or passive data on dashboards, and it's allowing us to provide like real-time updates and a very proactive approach to reporting that we've never had before. And I guess another trend that I would emphasize is, I think with the boost of technology and technology's prices coming down, that analytics is no longer something I'm seeing just large companies, having, but we're able to now see that analytics is something of interest to the middle-sized, mid-sized company or small company. So that's pretty exciting too, and I think that's adding to the explosion because analytics is everywhere. And then here's one last trend, and I'll leave this question go, but this to me is probably, I'm really interested in this space. Because of all this push and explosion and fast growth in analytics, it's creating all of these other career paths and things that we need to think about. So a big push in data security, data governance, just analytics in general has opened the door to questions on usages of data, like privacy issues and how we should or shouldn't use data. So to me, that's all really intriguing, what we're learning about how we're using data. And of course, all of that's a new career path for many, many people to go into, data governance, security, and learning about how we can and can't use data. So it's a long, long list, and I'm sorry about that, but it's exciting.
No, it is very exciting. Absolutely. Thank you so much. In the community, we've heard the terms business data analytics and business analysis used interchangeably. Can you share with our listeners some of the high-level differences in these practices?
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the terminology again. So you said business data analytics and business analysis. So to me, business data analytics is just the type of project or initiative. So we can work on an IT project, we can work on process improvement, we can work on business analytics. So to me, that's the area of focus. Business analysis, we know that space, right? According to BABOK, the practice of enabling change in an enterprise by defining needs, recommending solutions that deliver value. Again, it's the space that we're working in. I do not personally see a lot of confusion between business data analytics and business analysis because I think people see those as different disciplines. But where I do see the confusion is between the data scientist and the business analyst and the roles and the overlap and those high-level differences I think are really important to understand. So what I tell people, because BAs are trying to say, like, where's my role, where's that line of demarcation? And I think we just look at what we already know. And so I give this analogy. The role of the business analyst today, how we perform on an IT project, we can relate that to trying to understand the differences between analytics and business analysis. So today, a BA would not write code on an IT project any more than we would build some detailed mathematical model on an analytics project. That's what I tell my students. So today on an IT project, there's a time and place for software development work to occur. On an analytics project, there's a time and place for the data scientist work to occur. But before any of that work happens, before we jump in and start doing the technical piece of it, we need to do the upfront analysis. We can't just go in and create math models and crunch data, but we have to understand the problem or opportunity the business is struggling with or what the customer is struggling with. We have to analyze the current state and define the future state and understand those business questions that drive analytics. So if you take that scenario of what we already know from IT projects and the role that we play and just overlay it on an analytics project, I think it's all the same. I think the confusion is easily understood that we're there to do that upfront, that analysis, understanding the business domain, communicating that. I think that's what helps clear up that confusion. So we're not saying business analysts or data scientists. We're there to support them like we support a software developer. And then one last thing I'll add to that. On the back end of an analytics project, just like we are involved on the back end of an IT project, once the data is crunched or the results are being reviewed, the business analyst is bringing in those soft skills again. They're able to write the narrative. They're able to provide the visualizations on the data. They're able to explain the business decisions that are viable back to the business because they're speaking that language. So I hope that analogy of, understand how your role works in IT, and it's the same for analytics, except the person you're supporting is not the software developer on an IT software project, but the data scientist. I hope that helps.
Absolutely, absolutely. Laura, what opportunities exist for BA professionals to bridge their skills and knowledge in the business data analytics space?
So I just talked a little bit about that, about, the soft skills piece of it. But there's also the opportunity to emphasize or strengthen your key facilitation skills, because a lot of the analytics is that business analyst playing the role of speaking between the business and the technical team, being able to bring that technical results back and communicating it in business language. So I emphasized, upfront analysis, defining problem or opportunity, all of that work. But then, with that, I've also done a lot of reading, and I've done some research about looking at how are we doing overall with analytics projects. And anybody can Google that. You can kind of look at the top failure points or where organizations are not satisfied with their investments in analytics. And they fall into areas where business analysts really, it's their sweet spot. And so, looking at understanding the voice of the customer, having empathy for the customer, being able to bring that back to the analytics team. So, if you're not doing that today on your IT projects, strengthen your skills in those areas, because your analytics teams need to understand that voice. So that's a role that definitely sits in the BA's job jar. Being able to communicate the technical results, I kind of talked about that already, but, going in, strengthening your skills in understanding how to read the technical results, and then understanding the skills, visualization, data storytelling, being able to take that technical thing and bringing it down into the business domain context and language that our business partners know. So those are some real strong areas that our teams need us. So if you look at where the teams are struggling, it's in the areas of facilitation, communication, being able to make sure that the work that's being done, here's one more, make sure the work that's being done aligns to where the strategy and the organization's going. So just don't do data analysis for data analysis' sake, but make sure we're really solving problems that matter to the business. BAs are great at doing all of that.
Yes, they are. I understand that there is a significant work underway at IIBA in the area of business data analytics. So I've got another two-part question for you. Can you share some insights and news on the introduction to business data analytics and the business data analytics practice guide? And part two, what has been the reaction from the community to the release of the introduction to business data analytics?
Okay. You get me on these two parts because I start to focus on one. So if I forget to ever do the second part, please jump in there. So let's go on the introductions first. So people have been asking IIBA, please help us understand, our role in the data analysis space. So I feel like this has been a really great effort, and I just love the outcome that has been produced, these introductions. So let me explain a little bit about it. It's been a volunteer team that came together. I mean, I chaired it, but these guys helped structure and think about, what needed to go into these introductions. And there's two of them. There's one called the Introduction to Business Data Analytics for Practitioners and one Introduction to Business Data Analytics for Organizations. And why they got split up is because there is guidance that can go to organizations who are looking to structure and create analytics practices. So there's things that are of interest to them, but then there's the people that are working on the teams and the projects and guidance for them. So this volunteer team came together to develop these introductions, and they really are the sweet spot to help you understand, how does business analysis support analytics. So it's not going to be in-depth how to do data science and building math models and stuff like that. It's focused on the business analyst value proposition to these teams. So if you're an IIBA member, I highly encourage you to download these. It's a benefit you get, and there's a lot of good information, and some of your peers that work in this space who are also CBAPs or business analysts, practitioners, helped develop these. So they're real. They're really applicable. So you asked about the certification. Oh, what is the reaction? Yeah. People have been wanting to get their hands on this for a long time. So there's been a lot of excitement that now that these have come out. We're doing this podcast. We did a webinar. So highly, highly encourage you to go out to the IIBA website and look at the Business Data Analytics page, because there's a lot of stuff going out there that can really help. And it's exciting because you can see, if you like data analysis, here's a whole brand new, shiny career path. And people need resources like you in this space. So go take a look and see what you need to know, what you need to learn. And the practice guide, did you ask me about that? I think that was the third part of it. So there's another project underway that volunteers are helping to develop content for, and the practice guide is going to build off of the introduction. So if you think of the introductions as the scope of what we want to say about business analysis in this space, the practice guide is taking it to a deeper level, speaking to how do you do the work. So it's not just what it is, but how do you do it? So it's going to be a digital experience, which is kind of new for IIBA, but what it's going to be is, getting access to templates and models, and, when you want to understand how to identify a research question, go to that part of it, the practice guide, and look at it and, read about how to do that piece. And it's going to have guidance from that perspective to help you do better in that space. So it's kind of like an evolving digital experience in that space.
Okay, thanks. That's awesome. So for those professionals who are looking to go down this path or gain professional advantage with a certification, can you tell us more about IIBA certification in business data analytics?
Yes, and I'm glad, because I didn't mention that from the last question. I guess you were just asking about the the products, the practice guide, and the introductions. And so, yes, of course, the certification is a big deal too, and it just launched. It just launched a few weeks ago. So if you are somebody who works as a business analyst on analytics projects, this is perfect because now this allows you to showcase your skill set in the space. So for all these organizations that are looking to bring on business analysis skills onto their teams, you can stand out as somebody with this credential. So it is a level 2, let me mention that. So unlike the CBAP where, we're expecting you to be very, very senior in how you apply business analysis to projects, this level 2 is looking at, you perform the work for, 1 to 2 years. You're not the expert, but you can do the work if you're guided, you coached, mentored. So that's kind of the level that we're looking at for the skill set. So I think it's a real good sweet spot for those because it's also a new space, right? So many of us may not have been working in that space for 10 years. So that's kind of the level the questions are coming in at. And it is an exam that's there's 75 multiple choice questions. You get 2 hours to do it. It's proctored, but it's proctored remotely. So if you're familiar with how IIBA has done their Agile certification, it's the same kind of venue, same type of technology. So take it in the comfort of your office or your home, but it is live proctored and 75 multiple choice scenario-based questions, 2 hours. So I think it's a really good option for you to stand out in the space, get some good recognition, get on some good projects because of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, as more and more skilled professionals with knowledge and experience of business data analytics are needed, what advice would you offer to those BA professionals looking to support business data analytics initiatives?
I think you need to just keep reading, keep learning, because it's just moving. It's a space that is moving and evolving very quickly. So if you're looking to get into that space, try to jump in and acquire on-the-job experience on your, where you're currently working today. And if you're already working on these analytics projects, then try to formalize that learning. Look at what IIBA is putting out there. They have research papers. They have the introductions, think about getting certified. There's even an IIBA special interest group in analytics. So join your IIBA special interest group and collaborate with peers and just continue to professionally develop. I think that you need to because the technology and how fast-paced this space is moving, it's boundless right now, right? I think you just have to keep up on it and try to get yourself allocated to those projects to lend that support in your organizations because our organizations need help in this space.
Absolutely. Okay. I know there's going to be a lot of people who are listening who are going to want more and more information about this. So where can our listeners go to find out?
I think IIBA has done a great job on their business data analytics page. So if you go out there, you're going to see an explainer video first about what is business data analytics. There's an infographic that you can download. You can, if you're a member, you're going to get access to introductions. So again, take a look at that. I don't have a date of when the practice guide is coming out, but know that that also will be a benefit out there to continue to learn. So just keep looking. This podcast will have a link. The webinar is already up. You can, take a look at that. So again, it's a big emphasis of IIBA's right now. So I would keep going there and looking. And for professional development opportunities, if you're going to pick just a couple areas to focus on understanding how to write narratives and how to do the visualizations, because those are the weak points. The techniques are really hot. There's a lot of good information out there to learn, and teams really, really need support from BAs in those areas. So that's a really high value proposition for the BAs to be bringing. But I'm going to push you to the IIBA website to get access to all that stuff.
Okay. This has been fantastic. Thank you so much. It is very, very exciting. Once again, if people want more information, the IIBA website. Laura, what if people want to connect with you? How do they get in touch with you?
You can email me at laura.paton@iiba.org. If you're interested in volunteering to the Practice Guide team, reach out to me as well at that email address. We'd be happy to have your intellect and what you can share. And also, please connect with me on LinkedIn. You can just look up Laura Paton. I think I'm laura.paton.ba, something like that. You can find me on LinkedIn, and I'm also always posting about, these podcasts and different things we're doing in the space.
Okay.
Thanks,
fabulous.
Amy, for having me.
It's
really
so
exciting.
Much.
Yeah, it's exciting for BAs to have all these options now and to really be needed. We've always been needed, but this is a new need, right? So it's exciting to talk about.
Yeah, well, it was very exciting to have you here. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you, everybody out there, for tuning in.